everybody, it's me, Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I plan on talking about my experiences with deleting social media and how it helped me get back into reading again, and kind of the benefit and the joy that I've gotten in my life because of deleting these apps. So this video might not be for everybody. There might be certain situations where you still need social media, if you have certain family or friends that's your main way of communicating, or if you have a business online. There could be certain situations where social media still does bring benefit and joy to your life. But I have found that for me personally, it became more of an addiction, and it kind of distracted me and deterred me from things that actually did bring more joy and meaning to my life. And I'm assuming if you clicked on this video, it's probably the similar case for you, and you are looking for ways to, kind of get off of these apps. So I do plan on kind of talking about my experiences with that and some tips and advice on how I did so. My social media addiction kind of started when I was in, late high school, early college. As a young teenage girl, or wanting to fit in and look like you are, pretty and popular and all those types of things, I think there was kind of a little bit of pressure to do that. And that's kind of where I kind of fell into this trap and got sucked into this trap of social media. And, once you do develop an addiction, it can be very hard to break. And, I've just really recently, I'm in my late 20s, I'm just now working on, deleting these apps off of my phone, deleting these things out of my life. As I've gotten older, I've realized really how little value and benefit that these things have brought to me, and that they've actually stolen my time and some of the things I used to enjoy doing. I used to love to read when I was a teenager. And that is something that until recently I haven't done for a very long time because of my social media addiction. So I've realized that, social media has actually caused more harm in my life than good. So really the first tip I would say as far as getting off of these apps, getting off of social media, would be to delete the app off your phone. I know that's probably sounds like common sense, but I know for me, for a long time, I just told myself I would go on them less, I would use them less, I wouldn't go on them as much. But I found that for me, really that doesn't help. Muscle memory is a thing. Your thumb, anytime you are bored, you will pick up your phone, your thumb will scroll right to where it knows the app is, you'll click on it, and then you'll kind of get sucked in. Especially with a lot of the short form content there is nowadays. Thankfully, I have never personally downloaded TikTok. I've known I've had a little bit of an addiction and a little bit of a problem with social media, and I kind of said, hey, no, I'm not downloading anything else. I'm not downloading another app just to become addicted to another app. So I kind of have stayed away from TikTok. I've never downloaded TikTok. But it's kind of been hard to stay away from TikTok completely, because a lot of videos from TikTok have kind of spilled over onto other platforms. Instagram has a Instagram Reels, Facebook has a Facebook Reels, YouTube even has YouTube Shorts. So there are so many TikTok videos on these other social media platforms. It's kind of spilled over. Every social media has their own form of short form content. So really kind of hard to avoid nowadays. And I will say that these apps are designed to be as addictive as possible. They want you to, keep you interested. And really, too, a lot of it is messing with how our brains work. Our brains release a hormone called dopamine, which dopamine is kind of a happy hormone. When we do something that brings us joy, we're getting that dopamine burst. We're getting this release and this burst of dopamine, and our brains always are craving more of this hormone, right? So we watch a short-term video, we get this burst of dopamine, we want another one. So we scroll and we watch another one, and then again we watch another one. We scroll and we watch another one. And the next thing you know, you went on Instagram or TikTok or whatever app it may be to be on there maybe for 5-10 minutes, and the next thing you know, you wasted an hour, and you've been scrolling on there for an hour because, again, you're just mindlessly scrolling, and, you're not realizing how much time it's taking up. And I've also found that, and I've also seen a lot of other content creators talking about this online as well, about how a lot of the times you don't even remember after the fact what it was you watched. You spent an hour on your phone watching these shorts, and half an hour later, you can't even remember what you even really watched. So, I mean, in my opinion, in my thoughts, how much joy and how much benefit am I getting out of this if I'm not even remembering it, right? How much joy and value is it actually bringing to my life? And it's actually taken away things that have brought in joy and value to my life. So, like I said, I used to really love to read when I was younger, when I was a teenager, before social media, before I downloaded social media, before I got into social media. And then as soon as I went off to college and, I was using all of these apps, really I stopped reading because I was spending time, on social media. And I deleted Facebook, Instagram, I deleted all of my social media besides YouTube. I deleted that in March. And since March, I have read 8 books. I'm about to finish my 9th book, actually. So within 2 months, because it's May now, May 2024, I have read about 9 books. And in years past, I read no books or maybe a book or 2 a year. So within 2 months, I've read 9 books. That is crazy to me. In the past, if you had asked me if I could read 9 books in 2 months, when I was in high school, I probably could have said yes, but recent me, since social media me, would have laughed, said you're crazy, right? So I think that in itself shows how much time we get back from deleting these apps, and time back that's spent doing something that's meaningful and that brings meaning to my life. When I read a book, I am going to remember probably for years. Eventually I do read a book. If it's been a long time, I do forget what happens, but I don't forget what happens within a day or even a few hours like you do when you scroll on short form content, right? When you scroll on social media. So I'm going to remember the feelings I got from the book. I'm going to remember the plot. I'm going to remember the characters. I'm going to remember the story, right? I'm going to remember any lessons that were taught or learned from the book, right? So to me, this is a hobby, this is an interest that brings so much more meaning and joy to my life. And same with my other hobby. I also am learning a language. I'm learning Ukrainian. And the reason I'm learning this language is because my boyfriend is actually from Ukraine. He was born there, but he moved here when he was very young. He was about 5 or 6 when he moved here. So he speaks English fluently. There's no issues with me being able to communicate with him. But he does have family. He does, his parents live here, but they don't speak English very well. And, there's lots of times in the past where we've gone to visit his parents and kind of sitting there bored, maybe on my phone or, not really getting a lot out of it, just being bored because I had no idea what they were talking about. I had no way of, contributing to the conversation. But since I have been learning the language, I've been learning the language for about 2 years now. We go over to his parents and we spend time with his parents, and I understand what they're talking about. So I may not speak the language fluently, but I do understand the general gist of the conversation. If there are jokes or laughs I've gotten out of conversations. I've been able to say things here or there to contribute to the conversation. And so really when I study a language, right, or I read, both those things bring a lot of meaning to my life. When I study Ukrainian, when I'm learning my language, I can see the progress, right? I can see from going to not knowing any Ukrainian to being able to have a basic conversation or understanding a conversation. Whereas that was something I was never able to do before. So it might not feel like it in the moment. I might not get as much immediate joy because my brain's not releasing the same amount of dopamine as it is when I'm scrolling on social media. But it brings more long-term joy to my life. It brings more meaning and purpose to my life than scrolling on these types of apps do. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to live my life, get to the end of my life, and then have a bunch of regrets about how much time I have wasted on my phone and on my devices. So I've kind of felt that way recently. I feel like I have spent more time than I should have, and too much of my life already behind a screen, and I just want to change that going forward. I don't want to waste more of my time. I do want to focus more on these things that actually are going to bring joy and meaning to my life. So something that I have done recently that I have found helpful was I did download a widget on my phone where on my home screen it will actually show me my screen time for the day, how many hours I have spent on my phone. So that way I am kind of more conscious and mindful, and I can set a goal on how many hours per day I want to be on my phone. So right now I'm aiming for less than 3 hours a day, which to me 3 hours still seems like a lot, but baby steps. I don't plan on going from the amount I was before. In my peak addiction, I was probably 7 to 8 hours a day. So I really want to cut that down. I really want to get down, ideally even less than an hour a day, or less than 2 hours a day would be great. But for now, I'm setting my goal at 3 hours a day, and I think that this is something that can be really helpful for people, other people as well, who are looking at, cutting back on their phone time and trying to cut out some of this addiction. I will say that you do have to be very careful not to just replace one addiction with another. When I did delete my Facebook and my Instagram, I did gravitate more towards YouTube. I did find myself watching more YouTube shorts, YouTube videos, which again, I don't think that YouTube's a bad thing. I make videos on here myself, but I think it's all about the intention and what you plan on getting out of it. I do watch, there are some YouTubers who are Ukrainian language teachers that help me learn Ukrainian on YouTube. If there's a certain skill or something you want to learn, you can look up videos on YouTube. I've gotten lots of good book ideas and suggestions on books I want to read from BookTube. So I don't think that YouTube is a bad thing, but I do think that we do have to be more intentional about how we're using it and how often we're using it, not just replacing all of the time that we were spending on social media with YouTube. So kind of going on YouTube with intent and purpose, and kind of looking for that content that is going to bring meaning and joy to your life. So that's what I plan on hopefully doing with this channel. The whole reason I made this channel was because I did see other booktubers, people online, talking about their experiences reading books, and it really re-sparked my joy of wanting to read again and getting back into reading. So I'm hoping I can do that same thing for other people. And again, really it just comes back to at the end of my life, I want to have lived a life with meaning and purpose, and I'm assuming you guys are wanting the same. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Hopefully there was some tips and advice and things that you can kind of implement to help bring down your social media time and your screen time as well. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys again in another one. Bye.